The scent of burnt toast was the first herald of the day, a smell as familiar to Clara as her own reflection. It meant her grandfather, Leo, was up, stubbornly refusing to replace the toaster with the temperamental dial, just as he refused to replace the faded linoleum or the window that stuck in the summer humidity. Clara padded into the small, sun-washed kitchen of the two-story house she'd come back to, the floorboards whispering under her feet. At 28, with a business degree and a startup that had just gasped its last breath, she felt the peculiar vertigo of returning to a place that had never changed, while she felt utterly altered. "You're up," Leo grumbled, not turning from the sink where he was scrubbing a single plate. His hands, broad and mapped with rivers of blue veins, moved with a methodical precision. "Coffee's on. Made it strong. Your mother will be by later with some fussy pastry, no doubt." Clara smiled, pouring the ink-black coffee into her world's best boss mug, a relic of her failed venture. She watched Leo's back, the way his worn flannel shirt hung a little looser than it had 6 months ago. He'd been a foreman at the now-shuttered printing plant for 40 years. His mantra, uttered at the dinner table, during car rides, over games of checkers, was the bedrock of Clara's understanding of him. "I've supported myself since I was 16, never took a cent for my parents, worked 2 jobs. It was his badge of honor, his explanation for every callous, every conservative view on money, every quiet pride in a paid-off mortgage. Across town, Clara's mother, Susan, was already in motion. The hum of her compact car merged with the 7 a.m. traffic. In the passenger seat sat a cardboard tray holding 2 perfect lattes and a box of almond croissants from the French patisserie that was too expensive but reminded her of a trip to Paris she'd never taken. Susan, at 55, was the bridge, the translator between generations. She worked as a medical secretary, her days a symphony of phone calls, insurance codes, and gentle patience. She had heard her father's mantra her whole life too, but she'd heard the silences that followed it, the unspoken weariness, the missed school plays because of a second shift, the way pride could sometimes harden into a wall. Her phone buzzed on the seat, a text from Clara. "Mom, can you pick up some of that minty lotion for Grandpa's hands? They're really dry." Susan's heart did its familiar, complicated squeeze. Love for her daughter's observation, worry for her father's aging, the daily minutiae of care that wove them together. The story of their family was not written in dramatic legacies or great fortunes, but in the quiet archaeology of everyday objects. It was in Leo's toolbox, a heavy steel chest where every wrench and driver had a shadowy outline from decades of use. It was in Susan's recipe box, stuffed with index cards in her mother's looping script for Sunday pot roast and lemon bars, now splattered and softened with time. It was in Clara's laptop, a sleek silver shell containing the ghost of her business plan, her digital dreams now filed away in a folder marked Archive. That evening, they gathered for dinner at Leo's house, as they did every Thursday. It was Susan's night off from cooking for her own small household. Clara had set the table with the old mismatched plates, the one with the tiny blue flower, the one with the chip on the rim. The air was thick with the perfume of garlic and rosemary from the chicken Susan was roasting, a recipe from the stained card. Leo sat in his armchair, ostensibly watching the news, but his eyes were on Clara as she moved around the kitchen, helping her mother. "You don't have to do that," he said, not for the first time. "You're a guest." "I live here now, Grandpa," Clara said lightly, though the words still carried a sting of admission. "Temporary," he stated, as if decreeing it would make it so. "A smart girl like you'll be back on your feet. You've got grit. Had to have it in my day. I've supported myself since I was 16, you know. Never took a cent. Worked 2 jobs." Clara and Susan finished in unison, their eyes meeting in a smile that was both fond and weary. He harumphed, a corner of his mouth twitching. "Well, it's true." During dinner, the conversation was a gentle dance. Susan talked about a difficult patient at the clinic, a kind old man struggling with his medication. Clara talked about updating her resume, the words feeling foreign on her tongue. Leo listened, chewing slowly, then told a long, detailed story about a machine breakdown at the plant in '78 and how he and a man named Frankie had fixed it with a piece of chewing gum and a prayer. "You saved the day," Clara prompted him. "Did what did to be done, always did." Later, while Susan washed dishes and Clara dried, Leo retreated to the garage, his sanctuary. Through the window over the sink, Clara could see the yellow bulb flicker on. She handed her mother a wet plate. "He seems quieter." "He's worried about you," Susan said, suds up to her elbows. "He doesn't know how to say it. In his world, providing is love. His not being able to fix this for you, it unsettles him." "I don't need him to fix it," Clara said, a flare of her own pride, sharp and young, rising up. "I'll figure it out. I have figured things out." Susan turned, her hands dripping. "I know, honey, but his fixing, his working, that's his language. You speaking it back to him, that's what matters right now." The next Saturday, Clara found herself alone with Leo. Susan was working an extra shift. The house was quiet, filled only with the tick of the grandfather clock in the hall. Leo was at the kitchen table, painstakingly filling out a mail-in rebate form for a new set of garden shears, his large hands clumsy with the small pen. "Let me help," Clara offered, sitting beside him. He slid the form over, surrendering with a grunt. As she filled in the neat blocks, he spoke, his gaze on the garden outside. "Your grandmother, she loved those roses. Couldn't keep a houseplant alive, but those roses, they bloomed like crazy for her." He paused. "She always said the secret was talking to them." Nonsense, I thought, but I do it now. Seems to work. Clara looked at him, at the profile etched of lines of sun and labor. She saw not just the stubborn, self-made man, but the boy who'd left home at 16, the young husband whispering to his wife's roses. "What was your second job?" she asked softly, putting down the pen. "You always say 2 jobs, but you only ever talk about the plant." Leo was silent for a long moment, the only sound the distant buzz of a lawnmower. "Stock boy," he finally said, "at the A&P on Broadway. Nights, weekends, hated it. Cold, fluorescent lights. The manager was a petty little tyrant, but it paid $1.25 an hour. That was grocery money. That was the gas bill." He tapped the rebate form. "Every cent counts. Always did." It was a small crack in the monolith of his mantra, not just the pride, but the reality, the cold, the fatigue, the petty tyrant. It wasn't just a boast, it was a memory, one he carried in his bones. A week later, crisis struck in a mundane form. The ancient water heater in Leo's basement gave a final groan and surrendered, flooding the concrete floor with lukewarm water. Leo stood at the top of the stairs, staring down at the minor lake. His shoulders slumped in a way that terrified Clara more than any outburst would have. "I'll call a plumber," Susan said, already pulling out her phone. "Rip-off artists," Leo muttered, but there was no fight in it. The cost, Clara knew, was not just financial, it was an admission of a weakening, a system he could no longer maintain himself. The plumber came, quoted a staggering figure, and said he could install a new unit in 2 days. After he left, the house felt heavy. Leo retreated to his chair, the newspaper unopened in his lap. Clara watched him, then without a word, she pulled on her old sneakers, went down to the damp basement, and started hauling soggy boxes up the stairs. They were mostly junk. Old National Geographic magazines, Christmas ornaments, her grandmother's canning supplies. But in one, she found a treasure. It was a leather-bound ledger, cracked with age. Inside, in meticulous, youthful handwriting, were columns of numbers, dates from 1952, entries like A&P, 22 hours, $27.50, plant, 40 hours, $80, mom, $20, rent, $30, savings, $10. On the page for December 24, 1952, was a single entry: dinner for Ma, $5.50. A gift, a cent taken and given. Clara brought the ledger upstairs, her heart pounding. She placed it on the arm of Leo's chair. He looked at it, then up at her, his eyes clouded with memory. "Where'd you find this?" "In the basement. You sent your mom money?" He ran a thumb over the brittle page. Things were hard after Dad left. My job at the plant, it was steady. Hers wasn't. He cleared his throat, the sound rough. Never took from her, but I could give. That was the point of it all, wasn't it? To be able to give. In that moment, the mantra transformed. It was no longer a fortress of solitary independence, but the foundation of a wider responsibility. He worked 2 jobs, not just to be free of taking, but to be strong enough to give. Clara saw the thread then. It wasn't about isolation, it was about interconnection, forged in resilience. The night before the new water heater was installed, Clara couldn't sleep. She wandered into the darkened kitchen. A sliver of light under the garage door caught her eye. She pushed it open. Leo was there, under the unforgiving bulb, not at his workbench, but standing before a small, cleared space. Laid out on a clean rag were Clara's laptop, her external hard drive, and a set of small precision screwdrivers from his toolbox. "Grandpa?" He didn't jump. "This thing's been running slow, you said." "Yeah, but hard drive might be failing, or it's just full of clutter. We can back it up, clean it out, might buy you some time until you can afford a new one." He picked up a screwdriver. "I don't know the software, but I know the hardware. You show me the first, I'll handle the second." Tears, hot and sudden, pricked Clara's eyes. This was his repair, not with money he couldn't easily spare, but with the skill he had, the time he could give. He was speaking his language. They worked in companionable silence for an hour. He listened as she explained how to transfer files to the cloud, his brow furrowed in concentration. He showed her how to safely open the casing, to check the fan for dust. It was a small thing, a mundane troubleshooting session, but in the yellow light of the garage, surrounded by the ghosts of his labor, it felt like a sacrament. The following Thursday, dinner was different. The new water heater hummed efficiently in the basement. Clara had landed a freelance consulting gig, small but promising. She'd bought the groceries for the meal, a gesture that made Leo raise his eyebrow, but then nod in approval. As they ate Clara's slightly over-salted pasta, Leo cleared his throat. "I've been thinking about that ledger, and about you." He pointed his fork at Clara. "You've got that same look in your eye I had at your age, scared but too proud to show it." Clara put down her fork, waiting. "I've supported myself since I was 16, he said, the familiar words rolling out. But then he added, his voice softer, "But that doesn't mean you have to, not like I did. My working, my saving, it was so your mother could have a choice, so she could go to school if she wanted. And her working, her saving, it was so you could have a choice." He looked at Susan, who had tears streaming silently down her face, then back at Clara. "This house is paid for. It's yours, your mother's. It's not taking, it's what we built it for, so you could have a foundation, so you could build your own thing, and when it got hard, you had a place to land while you figured out the next thing." The air left Clara's lungs. The mantra was finally, fully translated. It was never about solitary self-sufficiency. It was building a platform strong enough for the next generation to leap from. His resilience was his gift to them. Months later, Clara had a new job, one that used her skills and paid her worth. She was moving into a small apartment of her own. On her last night in Leo's house, they had a simple meal of soup and sandwiches. As she carried her final box to the door, Leo stopped her. "Hold on," he said. He disappeared into the garage and returned with his old steel toolbox. It was heavier than it looked. He set it at her feet. "A house needs one of these." "Grandpa, I can't take this. This is yours." "Exactly. And now it's yours.
Every tool in here has fixed something in this house. It knows the pipes, the sockets, the stubborn hinges. It's part of the foundation. He pressed a set of newly cut keys into her hand. And you'll always have a key here, not because you need it, but because we want you to have it. Clara knelt and opened the toolbox. The smell of oil and metal and old wood rose up, a scent of competence and care. She saw the ghost outlines of the tools, the history of maintenance. She saw the new set of precision screwdrivers, the ones they'd used on her laptop, now nestled beside the older, larger ones. She looked up at her grandfather, then at her mother smiling through tears in the kitchen doorway. The threads were all there, visible now. The boy logging his hours at the A&P, the young man sending money home, the father building a secure home, the mother bridging the past and future with pastries and patience, and now her, the granddaughter, receiving not just a set of tools, but the true legacy. It was not an inheritance of money, but of metal, not a story of never taking, but of always giving, of labor, of care, of a space at the table, of whispered secrets to roses, of understanding that resilience was not a lonely road, but a bridge built over generations, strong enough to carry them all forward into the hopeful, ordinary light of the next day.